Imagine opening your borders, welcoming refugees, only for them to do crime. Is that taking kindness for weakness? Is this an issue of national interest or personal interest? How are these syndicates able to operate and traceable when the officials are there employed to enforce the law? But what happens when those that enforce the law break the law and abuse their authority and position of influence for personal gain? This is what we are uncovering today in this video, where we expose and uncover an Ethiopian syndicate that smuggles people from Malawi into Zimbabwe, Zambia, Mozambique, and finally South Africa. Let us watch this investigation as it uncovers this mysterious movement on how they are able to smuggle not just adults, these are not just old people, children included. It's quite a long video, so kindly give me your 17 minutes so that we can go through this video, and I would love to hear from you in the comment section.
In the heart of Doha, central Malawi, lies a refugee camp, Dzaleka, home to over 53,000 individuals fleeing war and poverty. But beneath the surface of desperation and hope, a sinister reality lurks, a secret network of corruption and murder, trafficking the most vulnerable refugees and asylum seekers from Ethiopia. A platform for investigative journalism investigation has uncovered secret prisons owned by smuggling syndicates inside the camp, their trafficking routes, and the role of senior government officials and politicians. Aided by evidence of money transactions, call logs, secret intelligence, and police files, and testimonies of over 30 sources, we can tell who the kingpins and enablers of this dirty trade are. This story is about greed, betrayal, and a complete breakdown of law and order. Our investigation begins here, in the border district of Karonga, close to the Malawi-Tanzania border. Here, we meet a security source who will be our guide as we search for the routes and safe houses used by the syndicates. We cannot name the source of the security agency he is affiliated with. We cannot also name exactly where we are meeting the source. But this source is well placed. He has promised us a list containing names of traffickers, locations of their safe houses. The gangs are too dangerous, he tells our team, but says he is taking this step to speak to us because the country needs to know the truth. First, our source guides us to the Tanzania-Songwe border, where we are shown how easily the human smuggling syndicate smuggles immigrants from Tanzania to Malawi, including through this crossing point on the Songwe River, less than 2 kilometers from the border post. During daylight, traders smuggle through these canoes various goods to avoid paying duty. At night, human smugglers use the canoes to traffic Ethiopian migrants. The migrants are coming from Ethiopia and are mostly heading for South Africa. They cross into Malawi at this place called Ngana. Here at Karonga Boma, we are taken to this house, which is used allegedly by trafficking gangs to house migrants after crossing the border. Innocent Magambi is a brave man, a former refugee turned rights activist. His organization, Inwa Consulting, has been documenting activities of the migrant syndicates.
All Ethiopian refugees who are male, who come to Dzaleka, they don't come to Dzaleka because they have run away from anything. They come to Dzaleka because they are there to pretend to be refugees, work with government officials to trade and facilitate, the smuggling of their fellow Ethiopians through a route that comes from Ethiopia, goes to Kenya, from Kenya, Tanzania, through Malawi, and then they go to Mozambique, Zimbabwe, all the way to South Africa. That is what they do. And if you look at these Ethiopians, they drive expensive cars in the camp. Their buildings, when you go in their houses, you won't know that you are in the refugee camp. They have big houses. And
in July 2024, Magambi wrote a letter to Malawi's President Lazarus Chakwera detailing the growing impunity of the trafficking rings in the camp and the role of members of his administration and the security apparatus in facilitating the illegal trade. We spoke to Magambi via Zoom from the safety of Europe.
And so they would get them into trucks all the way from the border to Lilongwe, which is a long way, and so many roadblocks of police, immigration, and the army. But because it's well organized, because it's a lucrative business, using money, they have been able to get their victims straight to Dzaleka. And I will tell you that there are two main transporters, Malawian transporters. One is named Obre Duke, and the other one is, they call him Pambala Ernest. Those are the owners. If you want to transport people very well without any problem, you use them. And you pay between 600 and 800,000 Malawi kwacha per person. And so if you don't go through them, you are likely to be intercepted. The police works for the traffickers. There are some of the head of the police who get a salary on a monthly basis. But most of them, key police leaders, they get money every time the trafficked people come and get into Dzaleka, and they go into the border. The border that is usually used for their exit is Dedza border. And not only do they have, prisons in Dzaleka where their allies control, they also have places where they rent in Lilongwe where they facilitate human trafficking.
The prisons or safe houses Magambi is referring to are here inside the camp. One of them is this one, operated by a syndicate leader known as Adino, who is currently reportedly on the run. Here we see another prison operated by another gang member known as Elire.
It is true that through our investigations of the cases that we have handled so far, some police officers have been mentioned, and those who have been mentioned were arrested and prosecuted. There is no room for criminal activity in the Malawi Police Service. Any police officer who is found on the wrong side of the law is arrested and prosecuted accordingly. And I should assure you that as a service, we are very serious on that. So I agree with you that we have such claims and such allegations have proven to be true. And it is not only police officers, we have also related these or connected these officers to other government officials and other criminals out there. In short, trafficking in persons is a crime. Whoever is involved in criminal activities, irrespective of his profession, being in the service or anywhere else, is wrong. That's why they are being arrested and prosecuted accordingly.
At the center of this web are two men, Adino and Brano. They're not just traffickers, they are powerful figures living in luxury while controlling a network of safe houses and routes. We come to this nightclub inside the Dzaleka refugee camp to meet a man who used to work for Adino. The bar itself is owned by Adino. He tells our undercover reporter the bar itself is just a money laundering front for the illegal smuggling. A police intelligence dossier PIG has sourced names Adino and Brano alongside a local politician and other businessmen as being some key figures in the business alongside several immigration officers. One immigration officer at the Songwe border, for example, made over 490 communications to a known trafficker. Through the dossier, we also see money transactions connecting several businesses to the trade.
The most common route that we find that they use is the Tanzania route from Songwe. There's another route at Kitipa, which is easier but further and more costly. So they prefer to use the Karonga route because it's cheaper and more direct, and they get in through all the roadblocks through the M1. Sometimes avoiding roadblocks, but sometimes passing through the roadblocks depending on if they've been cleared to go through.
Officers from the immigration department, we are told, facilitate the trade by ensuring that deportations of migrants who are arrested after illegally entering the country result in the migrants going back into the hands of the traffickers.
From our findings, it seems it's a cartel. For instance, in July, there was a judgment whereby it ordered that all irregular migrants who were in Mzuzu prison who had served their sentence and their sentences had expired, they should be deported, whether safe repatriation or by government. And then Office of International Migration came in with support in terms of rights and the like. But what surprised us is Immigration Department had to take some of them, about 30 or so, through a coaster and taken them by road to Shtipa and the like. Now the question is, why should others be deported through a flight when the resources are there, others be deported by road? But again, it's not clear whether they were properly handed over to the government of Tanzania, so that a process has to be taken until they get to their respective destinations. Surprisingly, when we were in Maula some few weeks ago, one of those 30 who were taken by road is now in Maula, who was apprehended by Malawi army when they did a raid at Zalega. So in itself speaks a lot in terms of the cartel. But again, right now in Mzuzu prison, we have 33 who have been convicted, some 1 month, 3 months, and the longest is 4 months in prison to serve a sentence. But immigration have been coming to prison and say, no, we are ready with resources in terms of repatriation. They have to go to their respective countries. But wait a minute, they are still serving a sentence, they are convicted. You can only do that unless their sentence has expired. That in itself speaks volume to say why that rush instead of just waiting for the expiry of the sentence.
In the Malawi capital, Lilongwe, we are shown this impressive looking hotel. The owner of the hotel is on the list of those who deposited funds into a non-trafficker's account. The owner, Samuel Mulugeta, is also under secret military detention since the military raided Dzaleka to disrupt the activities of the syndicate. The military's intervention, however, is also beginning to raise some concerns.
The military intervention was not intervention. It's very wrong to call it a military intervention. We call it a raid, but also that has nothing to do with responding to the human trafficking. Rather, responding to the chief traffickers' needs to silence other traffickers in Dzaleka, which is something alarming. I have been in war zones. I have run away so many conflicts. Now, when I see the level of partnership between some members of Malawi Defense Forces with the traffickers, I worry for the security of Malawi.
This is very concerning because our constitution is founded on the rule of law and respect for human rights. And Section 12 of our Constitution is very, very vivid that no institution or person is above the law, not even the military, as is particularly the case here. So it is very concerning that these individuals, even if they are foreigners, can be kept in custody without being taken to court where they could be charged, or indeed where they could assert their rights. This is a blatant breach of their rights, because apart from our constitutional order, Malawi is a party to International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, and we are called upon to uphold those rights. And these persons that are currently in custody deserve their rights.
Any interventions, any operations by Malawi Defense Force must be subjected to the law. At the same time, there must be basic principles of human rights that must be respected by any law enforcement institution, including security institutions. MTF cannot tower above the law in the name of protecting this country. The protection of this country is within the law, and any intervention to protect the interest of this country must respect the law. That's why there is no institution that is above the law, including the Malawi Defense Force. It is quite sad that quite often we see Malawi Defense Force suggesting to the stakeholders and Malawians that it can tower above the law. Particularly, it is quite concerning that it cannot even respect the decisions of the court. We are aware of the directives of the court, the decisions of the court, for example, on individuals that have been remanded by MDF, that they must be brought before the court of law.
We asked the Malawi Defense Force questions on this, but the MDF refused to comment, providing us this response, citing national security concerns. The grim reality of this trafficking operation was brought to light in April 2022 when a mass grave containing 30 Ethiopian bodies was uncovered. When we returned to the site of the Chikangawa mass grave this year, we met these 3 forestry guards. They tell us that while on duty at night recently, a group of traffickers driving 2 Sientas approached them to help search the forest for a missing group of trafficked migrants. The guards say they pretended to mount the search and phoned the police. When police arrived, both the traffickers and the trafficked could not be found. They had vanished. The smuggling syndicates, though, are not going away.
It's amazing to see how people use the public office to compromise the integrity of a nation and a department just for personal gain. You can just imagine how many lives have been lost in the process. And the big question would be, how are these people able to organize such a network without being traced? Where is the law? Where is the Interpol? And what are the governments doing about this? Well, this was the investigation that was done by the RPJ. Ours is to just bring it to your notice. And I would love to hear your thoughts on this investigation. It's very touching, very detailed at the same time. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Do you think this will be brought to an end? Or will this continue? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section.